Hi guys, it's Mr. Jacob from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library, specifically the Turner branch, and I am going to do an experiment with you. Now, the thing we're making today is we are making instant worms. Now, in order to do this, first you need a cup of water, you need a spoon, which I have over here on the side, you need special worm activator, and you need the worm goo. Now, the worm activator and the worm goo you can get on science websites. You can also get it at educational stores. It might be called stream slime. It has a bunch of different names. But for today, we're calling it worm goo. By the way, just a reminder, I am outside. You may hear lots of noise. There's birds singing. There's cars going by. Everybody's out and about having fun. So I will try to speak up so you can hear me. Now, to begin this experiment, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the worm activator, and you want to put a teaspoon in there. This isn't a teaspoon, but I'll just put a little bit. We don't need too much. And this is what it looks like. Just little balls, and I'm going to drop it in there. And we're going to stir it so it dissolves in the water. It doesn't take that long to do. You can see it's turning a little bit milky white. There we go, that should be good enough. Alright, so now we're going to take the worm activator, the worm goo. And before we put it in there, I want to show you what this looks like. This is just kind of like a slime. So if I do this, you can see it's kind of slimy. There we go. All right. So now we're gonna put it in there and we're gonna see what happens. So, ready? There we go. And boom. Okay. Let's give it a second. Because the longer we do this, the better it's gonna be. So, all right. And I think we're good to go. Now, let's see what happened. Whoop. Oh, look at that. That is our worm. So, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to put this back in there. Get back in there. Now, I'm going to do this again, but we're going to do it a little differently. I have some here with food coloring in it. I'm going to do it this way so you can actually see it a little better about what's happening. But before we begin, I'm going to add a little bit more because I used this before and used quite a bit of it. That should be good. I'm going to mix it up. Okay, now let's see what happens. Now you can see it as I squeeze it in there forming. Now let's give it a second. Now it instantly, you can see now it was a liquid. It was a little slimy thing, but it was kind of a liquid, but it became a solid as it went in there. And here we go. Look at all that. All right. So, the question is, what is happening here? And the simple answer is, get out this. Hello? There are two things, actually. But the first is polymers. This is a polymer. Now, what that is, and let me go to my notes because you know what? It's okay if you go to your notes. Sometimes you're not going to remember everything, and I want to make sure I tell this right to you. So, let's see. So basically what is happening is that powder we use, this stuff here, the worm activator, it is something called sodium alginate. Alginate. And it's a polymer. And a polymer is basically everything's made up of molecules. And polymers are molecules that stick together and you can stretch them. So when you blow up a balloon, it's made out of polymers. That's why it stretches out instead of breaks. This is the same thing. This is a polymer. Now, the sodium alginate, it immediately turned from a liquid to a solid when it touched the special solution, which has calcium in it. So that calcium mixed in with that stuff, and that's what made this turn into a solid. Now this is actually sodium alginate. It actually comes from seaweed, and they actually use it in all sorts of stuff. They use it in ice cream. They use it in fruit pies. So all sorts of foods that you might eat. So you're actually kind of eating some of this stuff. Now the thing about this, the longer I leave it in there, the harder it gets. But if right now I can touch it, it's solid. But if I were to tear it, it is gooey on the inside because the inside is still wet. Because when it went in there, that solution formed around it, but it didn't get all of it. So the inside still has the goo. Now, the longer I leave this in here, the more it's going to absorb that water, and then it'll get harder and harder, and pretty soon they'll be pretty stiff. So that is how you make instant worms. Thank you guys for listening. And as always, make sure if you do these experiments, do them with your parents, do them with your family. Make sure you do them with an adult in the room, because not only is it safer that way, that you do it with an adult, but it's also more fun. It's better when you do it with other people. You guys can share the experience. You can learn all about the world of science. So thank you, and I will be back with another experiment. Bye.